AITA for replying my mistake after my fiancé chose her Miami trip over my surgery. I, Jacob, am 27 years old and have been with Caitlin for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. We live in the condo I've owned since before we even met. She moved in after 8 months and somehow never contributed to anything other than groceries. Everything was already planned. A beach wedding in Florida next summer, a honeymoon in Greece, the little house with the white picket fence in the suburbs, all of it. Until the universe stepped in and said, "Nope, you've got this all wrong. And frankly, thank you for this tumor." One morning, I went in for a routine physical. You know the drill. I expected to get a lecture about my cholesterol and be out in 20 minutes. Instead, Dr. Miller was palpating my side with that look. The one that says your life is about to get complicated. "We need to run some more tests," he said, which in doctor speak means, "Congratulations, something is trying to make you unalive." A week later, after a blur of anxiety-filled scans, blood tests, and waiting rooms that smelled of despair and hand sanitizer, I got the verdict. A benign tumor on my kidney, but it was positioned as if it held a personal grudge against me, wrapped around essential arteries. As a result, they had to perform a full surgical removal. "Surgery is the only option," Dr. Miller explained. "You'll be in the hospital for 2 to 3 days, minimum. Recovery will take about 4 weeks, and you will absolutely need someone with you 24/7 for at least the first week. No driving, no lifting anything over 10 pounds, no being alone." All right. I called my fiancée from the hospital parking garage. I told her about the tumor, the surgery scheduled for April 15th, and the fact that I needed someone to help me during recovery. I could hear her typing the whole time, probably texts or Instagram captions. It was hard to tell what held her attention most days. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then she dropped the bomb. "Wait, April 15th? That's our Miami trip." She literally asked me if I could postpone the surgery until after she got back, as if I were rescheduling a dental cleaning and not the removal of a tumor. "Yeah, sure. Let me just call Dr. Miller and see if the tumor can hold off for 2 weeks while you get a tan." She said this was so typical and conveniently timed to ruin her vacation. I tried to explain that surgeons have waiting lists, that this was the first available slot, that I really needed her. She sighed as if I were asking her to donate a kidney. "Ugh, fine. Let me talk to the girls. They're counting on me. I can't believe this is happening." Then she hung up. I sat in my car for 30 minutes, wondering how my fiancé had just placed South Beach above my well-being. That evening, Caitlin came home around 9 p.m. She didn't even look at me, just dropped her purse and poured herself a glass of wine as if she'd just survived the worst day in human history. "I talked to the girls," she began, and I already knew it was going to be a masterclass in deflection. "They think it's really manipulative of you to try to make me cancel." Manipulative? Let me process that for a second. "I have a tumor, Caitlin, that you've apparently had for months, but now it's suddenly urgent, right before my trip that you knew was important to me. Doctors always make everything sound urgent. That's how they justify their fees. Brittany's dad is a surgeon. She knows how it works." Brittany, her vapid friend whose entire personality was built on having wealthy parents and posting gym selfies captioned with "blessed." There was my medical expert. "Caitlin, it's a major surgery, not a checkup." "Is it outpatient?" "No. 2 to 3 days in the hospital, then weeks of recovery at home." She took a long sip of her wine, looking at me like I was a particularly difficult math problem. "Look, I get that you're scared, but I can't just drop everything because you have a medical issue. I have a life too, Jacob. And our vows, in sickness and in health, we haven't taken them yet. And frankly, all this emotional blackmail is making me wonder if we're even ready for that." There it was, questioning our entire engagement because I had the audacity to develop a tumor. "I need someone here to take care of me. You know my family isn't an option. Then hire someone. There are services for that, professional nurses who actually know what they're doing." Okay, pause for a second. What she just said froze me in place because she didn't even hesitate. Just hire someone, as if I were complaining about a leaky faucet. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people are simply incapable of being there for others. Not that they don't want to. They are genuinely, fundamentally incapable of it. And we spend years making excuses for them, the stress, their past, a bad phase, when in reality, they just don't have it in them. Recognizing that isn't cruel. Staying after you've realized it. That's where you hurt yourself. Are you serious? You want me to hire a stranger because you can't miss a trip? Jacob, I need you to stop being so selfish and accept that I have my own life and my own plans that don't revolve around you. She stormed into the bedroom. I slept on the couch. Honestly, it was more comfortable than sleeping next to that level of coldness. The next morning, she was already dressed and packing. I'm leaving for Miami, she announced. The girls need me. The trip is non-refundable, and I'm not going to let your medical drama ruin something I've been planning for months. This is what 3 years of a relationship gets you. Okay, I said calmly. That's it. What do you want me to say? I want you to understand that I can't put my whole life on hold every time something happens to you. I get it. Have fun in Miami. She paused at the door, probably waiting for me to beg. Don't make me out to be the bad guy, Jacob. I'm just being realistic. Sure. 2 weeks later, the day before her flight, I sent her one last text. I'm really scared. I need you to be here with me. 3 hours passed. Then the reply came. LOL. Seriously, did you really think I was going to cancel Miami for your surgery? It's not even cancer. Stop being a baby. I took a screenshot. My mistake, I replied. And it was my mistake for ever believing she was someone I could build a life with. After her charming "stop being a baby" message, I knew I had to get my act together. Fast. Surgery in 5 days. No support system. I was on my own. First, work. I had to explain to my boss, Mark, that I'd need time off. Mark is a good guy. He's been through some health scares himself, so he understood immediately. He connected me with HR to set up my medical leave. The manager, Brenda, had a warm, maternal energy and instantly went into protective mode. You'll need someone to drive you home from the hospital and someone to check on you for at least 48 hours. Do you have family nearby? Not really. It's complicated. She wrote down her personal cell number. If you get into a bind, you call me. This is not something you should face alone. Now, I know some of you are wondering why I didn't call my family. We don't have a relationship anymore. I cut ties a long time ago, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, that evening, I started researching what recovery actually looked like. Forums, medical websites, first-hand accounts. It turned out I would really need someone around 24/7 for at least a week. I couldn't lift anything over 10 pounds. I couldn't drive while on painkillers. I'd need help just getting in and out of bed for the first few days. Meanwhile, Caitlin was posting Instagram stories of her Miami packing haul while I was reading post-op instructions. The contrast was so stark it was almost comical. That's when I called Alex, my best friend since college. The kind of guy who would help you move a couch at 3 a.m. without asking questions. Bro, did you just tell me your fiancée left for Miami while you're about to have surgery? Am I hearing that right? Yeah. What the hell is wrong with her? Is she deficient in some way? Was she dropped on her head as a child, repeatedly? Apparently. I'm being manipulative and dramatic. You have a tumor, you idiot. Exactly. But that's not dramatic. Hold on. I'm driving up. Alex, you don't have to. Shut up. I'm taking the week off. Someone has to give a crap if you make it off that table. It's a very routine procedure. I said shut up. I'm on my way. That's why Alex is my guy. He showed up from Baltimore the day before the surgery with a duffel bag, a week's worth of groceries, and a good bottle of bourbon for after the painkillers wore off. So, where's Princess Miami? Her flight is at 6 a.m. She'll probably be in the air before I even get to the operating room. And she's really okay with that? Yeah. She's fine with it. Alex just shook his head. 3 years, man. She's supposed to be you-know-what. Forget her. We're focusing on you. We spent the evening watching action movies and ordering a massive pizza. Just 2 friends hanging out before a major surgery. The simplicity of having someone who actually cared hit me hard. This is what support felt like. Around 10 p.m., Caitlin texted me. I hope everything goes well tomorrow. Try not to be mad at me forever. You want me to reply? Alex asked. No. Let her be. The morning of April 15th, Caitlin left at 5 a.m. She gave me the coldest hug in history and said, try not to die, or whatever. I'll bring you something back from Miami. Try not to die, or whatever. This was the woman I had planned to spend the rest of my life with. An hour later, Alex arrived with his gear and a smirk. Ready to evict this illegal tenant from your kidney? The landlord is ready. The prep nurse, Donna, a woman in her 50s with the no-nonsense energy of someone who has seen every kind of family drama, did my intake. Emergency contact still Caitlin? No. Change it to Alex Russo. Donna wrote it down. Good to have support. Your fiancé couldn't make it. Alex snickered from the corner. She's in Miami, sipping a mojito. Priorities, you know. Donna's pen stopped. Excuse me. Miami. During his surgery. Yes. And you're still engaged to this person? Not for long. Donna smiled. You're in good hands here. We'll take great care of you. The surgery went perfectly. I woke up groggy but feeling strangely optimistic. Alex was sitting next to me, scrolling through Caitlin's Instagram stories. Yo, morning, sunshine. Feeling lighter without your unwanted guest. Yeah, don't worry, you'll survive. He showed me his phone. She had posted at least 15 times. Look at this. Miami vibes with my girls, complete with bikini pictures from 2 hours ago. Then a group photo captioned, some things are more important than drama. Drama? As if you planned this whole tumor just to annoy her. It's in my kidney, actually. Who cares? Forget her. Around 6 p.m., my phone started buzzing nonstop. Text after text from her. Why aren't you answering? I know you're mad, but don't be childish. The least you could do is let me know you're alive. This silence is really immature. Alex read them aloud in a perfect, mocking tone. I told him not to reply. Let her sweat. Oh, this is going to be good. And then the real show began. 8 p.m. The phone at the nurse's station rang. Donna came into my room 10 minutes later with a smirk. Your future ex-fiancée is on the line. She wants to speak to you immediately. Tell her I'm sleeping. You got it. Resting peacefully. She returned 15 minutes later. She's called 4 more times. She says you're playing games and that she has a right to know what's going on. Tell her whatever you deem medically appropriate. Oh, don't you worry. And that's when Donna became a legend. Apparently, she told Caitlin that I was unconscious and unresponsive following some post-surgical complications, and that only the designated emergency contact could receive detailed information. Technically, it was true. I was asleep. Surgery always has complications, and Alex was my emergency contact. The texts went nuclear. What complications? Why are you unconscious? Why is Alex there and not me? I'm your fiancé. What does emergency contact even mean? Are you dying? I'm booking a flight right now. Alex was reading them all, howling with laughter. Oh, this one's my favorite. If you die, I will never forgive you. What does that even mean? Screenshot it. This is gold. But the best part? She posted on Instagram. Pray for my fiancé. Serious emergency situation. I might have to come home early. The comments poured in. OMG, what happened? Wait, weren't you just posting bikini pics 2 hours ago? Everything is fine. We just need prayers. Then Megan, a real one, commented, weren't you saying yesterday he was just exaggerating for a routine surgery? The comment was deleted within minutes. But the internet never forgets. Alex had the screenshot. Your fiancé is about to get a masterclass in social media fallout. You talk trash, you get owned. Around 10 p.m., Donna came back with my meds and a folder. Your fiancé called 6 more times. It's all logged in the medical file. She demanded to speak to the surgeon, the hospital administrator, and threatened to report us to the medical board for privacy violations because we refused to give detailed medical information to someone he specifically removed as his emergency contact. Alex burst out laughing. She is really spiraling. First she was crying, saying it was all a misunderstanding and she just wanted to know if you were okay. Then she was screaming about manipulation and a hospital-wide conspiracy. The classic playbook, I said. The night shift is eager to take over. Apparently, the whole floor is following the story now. I turned off my phone and slept like a log. The best sleep I'd had in weeks. The next morning, I woke up to 89 messages and 43 missed calls. Alex had documented everything. She FaceTimed you at 2 a.m. from what looked like a club bathroom, completely wasted, crying that she'd made a huge mistake and needed to know if you were okay. And what did you tell her? That you were in intensive care. I'm in intensive care. You're eating Jell-O while watching Rick and Morty. It counts. Donna walked in for morning rounds with what looked like a scoreboard. Your fiancé called 18 times last night. 18. The night shift turned it into a game. Each call earned points based on its drama level. What's the high score? Call number 14. She threatened to call the governor if we didn't give her information about a hospital in Pennsylvania while she was in Florida. Panic makes people stupid, Donna said with a shrug. By the way, she's now calling all the hospitals in the city trying to find you. Can she do that? She can try, but you're registered as a private patient. Unless she has your exact room number and patient ID, we won't even confirm you're here. Around 11 a.m., the morning nurse, Ryan, came by with an update. We got a call from Penn Presbyterian downtown. A woman was asking if they had a Jacob recovering from kidney surgery. When they said no, she accused them of lying to her. She's just cold calling hospitals? Oh, it gets better. She called the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia to ask if they treated adults. When they said no, she asked if they were part of the cover-up, because that's how conspiracies work. Alex was bent over, wheezing with laughter. Dude, she's completely lost her mind. St. Mary's, Jefferson, Temple University Hospital, she's going down the list. They're all calling us now because she's name-dropping our hospital and demanding the truth. This is completely insane. No, Donna corrected, popping her head in. This is entertainment. We don't often get drama this good. In the afternoon, Caitlin's social media went into total meltdown. She posted on Facebook, "Emergency. Flying home immediately. Jacob is in critical condition after surgical complications. Please pray for us." My buddy Chris texted me, "Dude, Caitlin's post says you're dying. Are you dying?" I replied, "I'm texting from the great beyond. They have pudding." "Thank God," he replied. LOL. She said critical condition. Critically annoyed, maybe. Just let her dig her own grave. He replied, "Already screenshotted everything. This is gonna be a meme." That afternoon, I had a surprise visitor. Sophie Miller knocked on my door around 3 p.m., holding a Tupperware container that smelled like heaven. A little context on Sophie. She's my neighbor from 2 doors down. A professional baker, she runs a small custom cake business from her home, and she is gorgeous, like, distractingly gorgeous. We'd always been friendly, but we never crossed any lines out of respect for my relationship. Just the nice neighbor who sometimes brought over extra cookies. "Hi," she said, her expression full of genuine concern. "Alex told me about your surgery when he was getting your mail. I brought you some homemade chicken noodle soup." "Alex told you? Wait, you made me soup." "Yes, and some of those oatmeal raisin cookies you like." I figured hospital food had to be awful. Alex appeared behind me, grinning like an idiot. "Sophie, perfect timing. Our patient was just complaining about the food." I was not complaining. "Yes, you were. Come in, come in. So, tell me, how long have you been waiting for Caitlin to screw up this spectacularly? And don't even deny it. We all saw this train wreck coming." "Alex," Sophie laughed. "I plead the fifth. But seriously, I'm so glad you're okay, Jacob. Surgery is scary." She stayed for about 20 minutes. It was the first normal conversation I'd had in days, filled with genuine concern, from someone who actually cared whether I lived or died. "Where's Caitlin?" she asked innocently. "Miami. During his surgery." Sophie blinked slowly. "I'm sorry, what? A vacation?" I don't even have the words. "Neither do we," Alex added. "That's why I drove up from Baltimore to take care of this moron." I glared at him. Sophie smiled. "That's really sweet of you, Alex." Someone had to. Apparently, it wasn't going to be his fiancée. After she left, Alex looked at me with a smirk. "What? Nothing. Just interesting timing. It's soup, you doofus. It's homemade soup from the hot baker who has been waiting 3 years for you to notice she exists." "Shut up. She's playing the long game, and I respect it." "Screw you." "You're welcome." The day of my discharge arrived. I was packing my bag when Caitlin finally tracked me down. She burst in looking like she'd just survived a natural disaster. Messy hair, smeared makeup, still wearing wrinkled clothes from her Miami trip. Her dramatic entrance would have been more impressive if she hadn't spent the last 48 hours calling every medical facility in the Delaware Valley like a discount Nancy Drew. "Oh my God, you're alive. Why didn't anyone tell me you were okay?" "Because you were in Miami." "I came back early. I was worried sick." "I thought you were going to die?" "The nurse said you were unconscious." "I was taking a nap." She stopped. "A nap?" "And I ate some Jell-O." But she mentioned complications. "Yes, it's complicated." Reality began to dawn on her. She had constructed an entire catastrophe in her mind, built on a normal post-op recovery filtered through her own guilt and panic. "You let me believe you were dying." "Excuse me? I let you draw your own conclusions because you weren't here." "That's manipulation." No, that's you not being able to control a narrative from 1,200 miles away while you're drinking mojitos. She collapsed into a chair, suddenly looking very small. Her Miami tan looked ridiculous against her tear-streaked face, like an emotional tourist lost in the wrong drama. I cut my trip short by 2 days. I was worried about you. Were you worried about me? Or about how it looked that you weren't here? A direct hit. She didn't answer. I cut my trip short after you posted bikini pictures while I was unconscious on an operating table. That's not fair. I took the engagement ring out of my pocket and set it on the bedside table. The wedding is off. Total panic mode. She cried. She begged. 3 years together. You're just going to throw it all away over a misunderstanding. This is not a misunderstanding. And you have 2 weeks to find another place to live. What? You can't just kick me out. I have tenants' rights. Look at the lease agreement. Your name is nowhere on it. I'll call a lawyer. Good luck with that. She stormed out, screaming about lawyers and her rights. 20 minutes later, she posted on Facebook that some people can't handle strong women who have their own lives. The comments tore her apart instantly. Megan, wait, didn't you go to Miami during his surgery? Chris, being strong and independent means abandoning your fiancé during a major medical procedure? Her own cousin, Emily, what are you talking about? We all saw your vacation photos. She started deleting comments, but it was too late. The first week at home was almost peaceful. I recovered, took my painkillers, and slept a lot. Sophie kept stopping by with food. Chicken soup the first day, homemade bread the second, then a lasagna that made me question every meal Caitlin had ever cooked. We started talking for longer periods of time while Alex hovered like a protective older brother, tossing out sarcastic remarks about my culinary upgrade. This woman was amazing, smart, funny, and she actually asked how I was feeling instead of treating my recovery like an inconvenience. We kept it completely appropriate, but there was something there. Something real. Caitlin noticed it immediately. She started questioning me every time Sophie left. Since when are you two so close? What are you talking about? Why does she keep coming over here? That's none of your business, Caitlin. You're leaving soon. What do you mean, none of my business? I'm your fiancé. Ex-fiancé. Every time Sophie visited, a screaming match was guaranteed. Meanwhile, her professional life was cracking. Rumors spread fast, especially when you have a public meltdown on social media. Her coworkers started looking at her differently. The marketing world in Philly is small. Everyone knows everyone. I found out later that her boss called her into a meeting after clients started asking questions about the employee who abandoned her fiancé during surgery. Reputation matters when your job is to manage other people's images. Day 10, she acted like nothing had happened. She brought me coffee in bed and tried to snuggle up to me on the couch, playing the part of the devoted fiancé she never was when it counted. I know you're still mad about Miami, but we can get past this, she said. So, friends, a quick pause here. And herein lies the most uncomfortable truth of this story. She genuinely believed time would fix it, that Jacob just needed to cool down, and everything would go back to normal. And honestly, how many of us have been on one side or the other of that? Waiting for an apology that just becomes a placid, let's move on. Or worse, being the person who thinks moving on is a substitute for an apology. Some things can't be fixed. Some things reveal a truth so fundamental about a person that there's nothing left to save. Caitlin never understood that, and that's exactly why she lost everything. I know you're still mad about Miami, but we can fix this. There's nothing to fix. When are you going to understand that it's over? Am I speaking a foreign language? I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. You should be packing. This isn't fair. What's not fair is that I wasted 3 years of my life with someone like you. Meanwhile, she was posting vague messages on social media about fighting for love and not giving up. The comments were ruthless. You should have fought for your relationship before you left for Miami during his surgery. This is embarrassing, Caitlin. Delete this. Her friend group began to distance themselves. The same girls who encouraged her to go to Miami were suddenly unavailable when she needed a place to stay. Lauren stopped replying to her texts. Brittany made excuses. The network of fair-weather friends collapsed as soon as things got real. Day 12. I caught her going through my phone while I was in the shower. Who's Ryan? Why are you touching my phone? Why is he texting you? Give me that. I snatched the phone from her hand. He's making fun of me. Caitlin, that's enough. Don't make me call the police to have you removed. Silence. Then why does Donna have your number? Get out of my sight. She slammed the door. She was losing control, and I was losing my patience. Then came day 15. I was about to call my lawyer when there was a knock on the door. Caitlin's parents, Karen and Bob, were standing in the hallway, looking like they were attending a funeral. We need to talk, Bob said. We sat down in the living room. Karen immediately started to cry. We're so sorry, Jacob. What she did, we didn't raise her like this. We didn't know the whole story until Megan called us, Bob added. Caitlin told us you manipulated the hospital situation to make her look bad. I was under general anesthesia, Bob. It's hard to manipulate anything. We know that now. We saw the posts, the timeline. Karen wiped her tears. She was posting vacation photos while you were in surgery. She humiliated herself, and she humiliated our family. 27 years raising her, and this is the result, Bob said, his voice heavy. We failed somewhere. We're truly sorry, son, and we're glad you're recovering well. He offered to help her move out, to talk sense into her, but I could see they had reached their limit too. She's not welcome at home until she gets help, Karen said softly. Real help. Therapy, accountability. We told her we would no longer enable this behavior, Bob added. She threatened to cut us off. She said, Fine, I don't need parents who don't support me. The next day, Caitlin screamed at them in my hallway. A complete meltdown. She accused them of taking my side, of being traitors, of being brainwashed. I recorded it through the peephole. You could clearly hear her calling her own parents' names because they refused to support her truth. Her friend Lauren came to pick her up, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. She loaded Caitlin's boxes into her car, while Caitlin cried dramatically, claiming she was being abandoned by everyone. You'll regret this, she yelled at me as Lauren dragged her toward the stairs. You can't just destroy someone's life and get away with it. Lauren gave me an apologetic look over her shoulder. We both knew this arrangement was only temporary. A few hours after leaving, Caitlin was all over social media, telling her side of the story. Long, rambling posts about manipulation, a faked medical emergency, and how she was the real victim. The problem was, she was still friends on these platforms with people from my work, my gym, my extended family. People who knew the truth, who saw the Miami posts in real time. The comments completely dismantled her narrative. She deleted the posts, but the damage was done. People shared screenshots of her vacation photos next to her emergency posts. The hypocrisy was blatant. The professional consequences accelerated. Her company's HR department started getting calls from clients who recognized her from the online drama. Her job was to manage other people's public image, and her own had become toxic. My coworker Brenda shared one of Caitlin's rants in the office group chat with the caption, "And this is why you don't air your dirty laundry on social media." The whole office saw it. My boss Mark shook his head and texted me, "Dude, you dodged a bullet." Actually, a whole firing squad. 2 weeks later, Lauren kicked her out. Apparently, Caitlin was throwing tantrums, leaving a mess, and bringing strange guys over at all hours. Lauren posted an Instagram story about it. Nothing specific, just, some people never learn boundaries, with a key emoji. Subtle, but effective. Caitlin moved in with another friend, Brittany. That lasted exactly 12 days before Brittany posted about toxic energy and cleaning house. She was kicked out again. She bounced from couch to couch, burning every bridge she crossed. At work, things fell apart for her. Her performance tanked because she spent her days posting rants about me instead of doing her job. Management noticed. Alex kept me updated through mutual acquaintances. Apparently, Caitlin became that friend everyone avoids, the one who makes every conversation about her drama, her victimhood. The final straw came when she posted a 40-minute-long tell-all video on Instagram. She was crying, holding up printed-out screenshots, and claiming I manipulated her into going to Miami just to set her up. The video was a train wreck. She had clearly been drinking, was spouting conspiracy theories, and was showing text messages on her phone that actually proved I was right. It was like watching someone dig their own grave with a selfie stick. Even her extended family started unfollowing her. Even Brittany's dad, the all-knowing surgeon, commented, "Young lady, I have been a surgeon for 30 years. Nobody fakes a kidney tumor for attention." She deleted the video within hours, but it was too late. Dozens of people had already downloaded it. Alex, of course, had a copy. 2 months into my recovery, my life was actually good. Sophie and I officially started dating. We're taking it slow, but she's incredible. She brings me dinner 3 times a week, helps me with my physical therapy exercises, and never makes my healing process about her. It's night and day compared to the 3 years of walking on eggshells with Caitlin. Alex is still crashing in the guest room, partly to help me out, but mostly because he's enjoying the front row seats to Caitlin's downfall. So Brittany kicked her out. Where is she now? A motel on Route 22. Then things got really crazy. First, I noticed her car parked across the street from my building at odd hours, always just idling. She was staking out my condo like some amateur private eye. She'd show up around 7 p.m. on weekdays, probably after work, and just sit there for hours. Sometimes I'd see the glow of a cigarette. Other times, she'd just stare at my windows. It was both pathetic and deeply unsettling. Then the notes started appearing on my car windshield. Bizarre messages scrawled on napkins or receipts. I know what you're doing with that baker neighbor. You can't hide the truth. We had something real and you destroyed it. Honestly, it had serial killer vibes. Alex found one and immediately took pictures. She's completely gone, he said, reading a note written in multiple colors of ink like a ransom letter. We are definitely in restraining order territory. But it got worse. Sophie started getting DMs. First on Instagram, then Facebook, then her business email. Caitlin found her bakery's website and started leaving 1-star reviews, claiming Sophie seduces sick men and destroys relationships. The reviews were delusional. Homewrecker. This woman targets men in recovery. Predatory baker, 0 stars. This baker destroyed my relationship by bringing soup to my fiancée. Who does that? Yeah, Alex said, reading them over my shoulder. Who brings soup to a sick person? What kind of monster? The fake reviews started to impact Sophie's business. She had to explain the situation to her regular customers. Sophie showed me the DMs. They went from passive-aggressive to overtly threatening. Stay away from what's mine. You don't know who you're dealing with. Homewreckers always get what's coming to them. I'm starting to get scared, Sophie admitted. Don't be. We're documenting everything. Then the threats became explicit. Direct messages to Sophie's business account. Screenshots of our building with the caption, I know where you sleep. The messages became increasingly unstable. She threatened to make Sophie disappear and promised that homewreckers always pay. That's it, I said. We're done. I filed for a restraining order. The evidence was overwhelming. Photos of her car staking out my building, screenshots of the threatening messages, copies of the unhinged notes. The judge took one look at the file and granted it immediately. She had to stay at least 500 feet away from me, my condo, my workplace, and Sophie. For about a week, there was peace. No car, no notes, no messages. I started to think she'd finally gotten the message. Then came the grand finale. And believe me, it was worth the wait. It was about 10 p.m. I was on the couch with Sophie, watching Netflix, while Alex was making grilled cheese in the kitchen. The first truly normal evening in months. Then we heard car doors slam, frantic footsteps on the stairs, and someone started pounding on my door like the building was on fire. Jacob, I know you're in there. Caitlin's voice, slurred and desperate. Open this door. I looked through the peephole. She was swaying, clearly intoxicated, a wine bottle in one hand, wearing pajama pants and a tank top. She looked completely out of control. You ruined my life. Come out and face me. Sophie immediately started recording on her phone while Alex called the police. I kept watching through the peephole, documenting everything. I gave you everything. 3 years of my life. She started kicking the door, leaving scuff marks on the wood. That baker turned you against me. I see your little game. It's a conspiracy. Then she noticed the peephole and pressed her face against it, her features distorted by the lens. She looked about as intimidating as a confused goldfish. I know you're watching. Come out like a man. Neighbors' doors started to open. Mrs. Davis from 3B peeked her head out. Mr. Henderson from 3A stepped into the hallway. The whole floor was witnessing the spectacle, and Caitlin was too drunk to notice. Alex hung up with the police and flashed me a wicked grin. Let's have a little fun before they get here. What are you doing? He disappeared into the kitchen and came back with a canister of flour. Trust me. We waited for her to start banging on the door again. Alex yanked the door open just a crack and dumped the entire container over her head. She shrieked like a banshee, covered in white powder, clawing at her face as she stumbled backward. She looked like a failed ghost who'd been fired from a haunted house for overacting. "You sick freaks. I'm going to make you pay." "It's just flour, you psycho," Alex yelled back. Self-defense against a home invasion. "And by the way, you look like a very angry snowman." Sophie and I were dying of laughter. The police arrived just as she was trying to wipe the flour from her eyes, still screaming threats. They found her covered head to toe in white powder, clearly intoxicated, standing outside an apartment she was legally barred from approaching. The lead officer took in the scene. Caitlin, a flour-dusted nightmare. Me, calmly handing him copies of the restraining order and screenshots of threats. Sophie, holding up her phone with the video of the door kicking. He shook his head. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for violating a restraining order, public intoxication, and harassment." "They assaulted me," she screamed. The officer cleared his throat. "Right. Let's go." He handcuffed her while she spat flowery insults and screamed about conspiracies. The neighbors watched from their doorways, front row seats to the best show the building had seen in years. Mrs. Davis from 3B was munching on popcorn. "Better than Netflix," she muttered. As they led her to the cruiser, she turned back. "Karma is going to get you, Jacob. This isn't over." Alex, leaning against the doorframe, still holding the empty flour canister, called back. "We'll be waiting, sweetheart." The final image of my ex-fiancée, covered in flour, handcuffed, being shoved into the back of a squad car while screaming that she was the victim. It could have been the cover of a masterclass on how to spectacularly fail a breakup. The arrest made the local news blog. Woman violates restraining order, gets covered in flour during domestic dispute. Her employer saw it. Her few remaining friends saw it. Her family saw it. She lost her job within 48 hours. Her professional reputation, already in tatters, was obliterated. 6 months later, she's living in another state with relatives who can barely tolerate her. She's working in retail because no marketing agency will touch her, and she still occasionally posts vague rants about the injustice she suffered. As for me, I'm fully recovered. Sophie and I are planning on moving in together. Alex has enough blackmail material on me to last a lifetime, and I wake up every single morning grateful. Because in the end, that tumor showed me who Caitlin really was, long before I could make the biggest mistake of my life. Goes to show, sometimes the best closure is watching someone end up covered in flour and hauled away in cuffs. Comment. It is often in our most vulnerable moments that we see people for who they truly are. Learning to set boundaries is not about punishing others. It is about honoring yourself. True strength is found not in avoiding responsibility, but in facing our actions and their consequences with integrity. Sometimes, the greatest acts of kindness are not grand gestures, but a simple phone call or a warm meal when you need it most. Choosing your own peace is not selfish. It is the most important form of self-preservation. Healing truly begins when you create a safe space for yourself, free from the chaos you left behind. You deserve relationships built on mutual respect and genuine care, not just convenience or shared history. Never apologize for demanding the support you so freely give to others. Your well-being is the most important story you will ever write. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.